Why hello there everyone, and welcome to the part 2.2 or the second half of the second part of my Assetto Corsa tutorial series. In this part we will put the wheels actually on the car and the car into the game, and in a way that it actually works. I hope you enjoy also this second part. We left off when we imported the two 3D models into Blender, and this is right where we will set off. I hope you enjoy this second part as well. Now we want the wheels from this vehicle up here to be on this vehicle down here, and therefore we need to delete all of the objects that are here. Now you could select them all and just hit delete and delete them, but this will cause some problems for Assetto Corsa, so we will have to do it in a different way. Let's move over here again and minimize the second collection and expand the first one again. And when we scroll all the way down, we can see 4 objects labeled wheel left front, wheel left rear, wheel right front, wheel right rear. We can now click on the first, control click on the last, and in the 3D space it looks like we have nothing selected. That is because, as indicated by this icon here, they are empties, or dummies, replacement objects. When we expand these, we can see that there's other objects that are not selected, which are basically children objects. So they follow everything the parent object does. If I hit G and move around, we can see that the wheels are being moved, but we only have the empty selected. To cancel an action, by the way, just hit right click on the mouse and everything goes back. Now we want to delete all of that, so what we're going to do is have these 4 selected, right click on them and hit delete hierarchy. So the wheels are gone. The parent objects plus all the children are gone. Now we are going to expand the second collection and move down to the wheel objects of the Nissan. Now these are labeled wheel left front .001. That is because when we import this, the wheel underscore LF name was already given to a different object. So we will have to click on this and hit F2 to rename it and delete the .001, because when the object is named like that, Assetto Corsa won't know what to do with it, since the names wheel underscore LF underscore LR underscore RF underscore RR are necessary for the game to know what to do with these objects. Now that we have renamed all of those, it is time to move them to where they are supposed to be. And of course, you could just select this and try to move it down here, but that won't really work as good as it could. Now what we are going to do is, as you can see, that there is still objects here that are basically the same as the wheel left front object. Just select one of these and hit period on the number pad to center on that, so we have our view centered on this. I don't know how to do it if you do not have a numpad, I'm sorry, but you can now move the 3D cursor, which is this red and white circle right here, to the origin, so the yellow dot in the middle of this right here. Why are we doing this? Because we want the wheel left front empty to be in the exact same spot as the other parts that make up the suspension. So how do we do that? We hit Shift S and then click on cursor to select it. Then we are going to go to the wheel left front object over here, go with cursor back into the viewport, Shift S, and selection to cursor. Now we have the wheel here. Wonderful. And it is slightly angled, but we don't have to worry about this at the moment. So we will move on to the next. Just go to the rear, Shift S, cursor to selected, select the left rear empty, Shift S, selection to cursor, and do that with all the sides. Now we have the wheels exactly where we want them to be. Now we can see some clipping going on in certain places. That is because, as we can see here, the wheel object that we moved over here already has brake discs included. Now we don't want this, we still want to use the BMW brake discs. So what I'm going to do is go into this empty right here, select the disc and delete that. I'm going to do this for all of the suspension part of the wheel parts. So just delete all the disc objects, and now we only have one set of discs basically. We can also see that the rim is clipping into the hub basically of the BMW. So how do we fix that? Simple. We first of all need to set the 3D cursor to the empty of the wheel. So left rear, select the empty, then Shift S, cursor to selected. Then what you are going to do is select the objects within the empty, not the empty itself. Do not select the empty, just the objects. Then hit G, X, and hold Shift for preciser movements, and just move the wheel out a bit until there's no clipping anymore. Then left click, and here is your wheel not clipping anymore. What you have to do now is hit Ctrl A and apply location, so that when you open up Assetto Corsa, the wheel will not be clipping inside of the brakes again. The same thing is happening over here. So right rear, Shift S, cursor to selected, select the objects within, G, X, Shift, and then move the mouse slowly. No clipping, left click, Control A, location. Disclaimer, you do not necessarily have to move the wheel objects if there is no clipping. I just did that in this situation because the wheels were clipping into the brakes. Now, before we can go ahead and export, we want to delete all of this up here. So just select it and make sure there's nothing from the BMW selected and hit delete. Now you have to check whether in the collection 2 there's anything else left but the wheel objects. If there is, select and delete it, because we don't want anything from the Nissan to still exist aside from the wheels. Since that is not the case, we can leave it like that and now go on to exporting the model. You do that by clicking on File, Export, and then FBX. Now we navigate back to the project folder, and I'm going to call this BMW M3 E92 modified. Do not call it anything like the files that you already had, just to make sure. Now the last thing you need to do when exporting from Blender, which seems to be only the case for Blender, is you need to set the scale to 0.01 and hit enter, or the car will be absolutely massive. So now just hit export FBX file, and this will take a few seconds. It doesn't tell you when it's done exporting, sadly, but the moment you can move the camera again, you are done with exporting. You can now close Blender. You don't need to save this if you don't want. I won't. And now we want to convert the FBX file back into a KN5 file. This is done by navigating to your Assetto Corsa folder, which is most likely in Programs x86, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, and there you will see an Assetto Corsa folder. If you have it located somewhere else, then you can easily find that by opening up Steam, right-clicking on Assetto Corsa, Manage, and search local files, and here you will find the Assetto Corsa folder. In this folder, you will have a lot of files and folders, and the one you are looking for is SDK. This folder has 3 more folders, and you want to go into Editor, and here is the kseditor.exe file. Just open that up, and this will open up. This is the KS editor, which converts FBX files into KN5 files. Let's just maximize this here. Now you have to click on File, open FBX, navigate to your projects folder, go into the project folder you have created, and open up the model you just saved. And here we go. Now you can navigate here by left clicking and then moving using the arrow keys. this looks quite bad. Now, no worries, we can fix that. First thing to do is go into the Elimination tab down here, go into the drop down menu at Weather, select Clear, click Load Weather, and the PPFX, select Default and click Load PPFX. So we have a more natural view of the car. Now, it still looks like a piece of garbage, but don't worry. You have to make sure that you have this selected, the model in caps, and then whatever your model is called. Then click on File, Load Persistence, and now you will be sent to where you imported the 3D model from, and you have the two ini files here. The first thing to load is the one from the base car, so the BMW in my case, the lod0.fbx.ini. Click that, open, and it will take a second, and you have the car loaded in. It may look a bit funky around where the glass is, but don't worry, it is all fine. Though the wheels still don't look like they are supposed to look. Now how do we fix that? We load the persistence again, so file, load persistence, of the 180SX, or well, the car you took the wheels from. Just select that, click open, and now your wheels have textures as well. Simple. Now one thing I forgot while recording the original video that has to be done in order for the car to actually work is before you export it from the KS editor, you need to go up here to the utilities, go into texture review, then this warning will pop up, but don't worry, you just need to hit OK. Then you have two lists. You have a list of used textures and a list of unnecessary textures. These textures need to be removed from the folder in order for the car to work. So you just click on any of the textures on the right here, hit Ctrl A to select them all, and then click on Move Selected in Backup Folder. So these are now gone, there are no unnecessary textures anymore, so you can hit Exit, and then you can proceed to export your KN5 file as shown in the video. With this all now done, you can just click on File, Save KN5 Car, and you are back into your project folder, and just, in my case, I'm just going to name it E92, and hit Save. Will take a second, and then if you have everything done like I have told you to, there should be just this one pop-up message saying the KN5 was saved. If there's any errors, make sure to read what is written in these errors. Sometimes they say a texture is missing. Then you have either when we copied the texture folder, hit replace, so there is textures missing for the car, or any of the persistence files is not working properly and things are not assigned the way they are supposed to be. In that case, I can't really help you. You will just have to find a different model. Now with that out of the way though, we can close the KS editor, and now we can open up the content manager again. Now the content manager is back, and I am back here on the content page of the modified E92. This has obviously not changed since we have not put the KN5 file into the cars folder yet. So what you have to do is click on folder here, which is a quick access to the cars folder. And here you can see different kinds of KN5 files, but this is the one that we are interested in. The one that doesn't have any LOD stuff behind it. So click on that, hit F2 to rename it, and when the name is selected, hit Ctrl C. Now you can click somewhere else to deselect it basically, but now the important thing is that you copy the name of the file. Now the next thing is we need to open up the project file we have, and here's our project folder. Here you can see we have the KN5 file nicely saved, and it is named E92 as I have instructed the program to do. Now the names are different, and this file needs to be named like this. This is why we just copied the name. Select the exported file, hit F2, Ctrl V to paste, and we have the same name now. I will just move this over here and hold Ctrl to copy it, since I don't necessarily want to remove this one. And it will ask whether we want to replace the file that has the same name, and in this case we say yes, because we want the new KN5 file to be imported. Now that is done, we can close these up right here. This has not changed. but we can make it change. But before we do that, we are going to enter the CM showroom, the Concept Manager showroom, and ta-da, here we are, a car with new wheels. It does not have nice fitment yet, but we will fix that in the next video. The last thing I want to tell you in this one, how to do it in this one, would be very simply replace these images we have right here that are not what the car is currently looking like. You just go down here and click on update previews. This will take a little. And now if we look through the different paint options, you can see that the car has the appropriate wheels on everywhere. One thing I forgot to mention while recording the original video is that if you renamed the folder as I did and as I instructed you to, you will have a problem with your sound file. And how do you now check whether there is the problem? Well, you can simply click on Analyze down here, and here it says missing sound bank, and well, this is your error. We don't have a sound file that matches the car. There are two simple ways of fixing that. You could, well, technically click on Fix It here, but that won't fix it. So we're going to close this up right here, and we will enter the folder right here. So here we are in the cars folder, and if we move one folder further up, we can see it is called E92 Modified. If we now rename this to E92, there will be an issue. It will tell us, well, there is already a folder existing that has the name, so we can't do that. What we can, however, do is go into the SFX tab, and here is our .bank file. This file has to have the same name as the folder, and it obviously doesn't, so just click on that, hit F2, and rename it to E92 Modified. The file now has the appropriate name, though the game does not know what to do with this file, because it isn't put into the basically knowledge of the game yet. So what are we going to do? We are going to create a text file, so right click, new, and text file, and rename this to GUID and then a small s and hit enter. This is the name the file has to have in order for it all to work. What do we put into this file now? Well, you have to go into your Assetto Corsa directory, and in your Assetto Corsa directory you are going to go into Content, SFX, and here is the GUIDS text file, and you're going to open this up. Now, there is a lot of text that is a bunch of key mesh, at least it looks like that, then bank, and then a car name. Though we are not going to go for any of these, we are going to scroll down until we see something that begins with event. This is what we are looking for. Now, we are going to take just one of these cars' event parts. I'm going to go with the Abarth. It doesn't matter because, well, it just tells the game what to do with what. So I'm going to select all of the Abarth 500 things. That goes up to here. Make sure that it is really just one car. Then hit Ctrl C to copy. We can now close this text file. We can also close the Content SFX folder. And back in our Cars SFX folder, open the text file and paste the text we just copied using Ctrl V. Now it still says Abarth 500. That, though, we can fix easily. We just have to go here, select this, and rename it to BMW underscore M3 underscore E92 underscore modified. And that I'm just going to copy and do for the rest as well. So now that it is all called BMW M3 E92 modified, we can hit Ctrl S to save the file. Close this up, close up the folder, and if we go into Analyze now, there is 0 issues remaining. So the car is now fully functioning in the game. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something, and I hope you can do a lot of wheel swaps in the future. Next time around, we will be fixing the fitment on the vehicle, which is not great, and things like camber and such. So stay tuned, and also everyone stay safe out there, and until next time, goodbye.